Hey everybody, welcome to Shooting the with Yankee. As usual, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today's topic is bad gun advice. What's the worst advice you've ever gotten regarding a gun, on how to use it, how to carry it, etc.? Something somebody has said to you about guns that you're just like, wow, that's really bad advice. But it could be from a trainer, from a gun shop, from a stranger that you just met on the street. I don't know, aunt, uncle, whatever. I'm going to say some of the worst gun advice I ever have heard. And it's one that seems to be less prevalent now than it used to be, but it used to be, you heard this every time you talked about carrying a gun. And it was, if you ever have to draw that gun, you better use it. Because if you're going to draw it, you have to use it. And that was a gross misrepresentation of never draw a gun if you're not willing to use it. But there were a whole generation of people who thought they were fucking samurais. That, you can't resheath that weapon till it's drawn blood. And that's the worst advice you can ever get. If someone is a threat to you, you draw your firearm and they immediately put their hands up, back away, or run or whatever, and you still shoot them, good chance is you're going to jail. And that's held up by statistics as far as not being a threat anymore once they decide to run away, because most gun uses for self-defense don't involve firing a gun. They just involve drawing a gun. So the real saying should be, don't draw a weapon if you're not willing to use that weapon, but the whole don't draw your gun unless you're going to use it, or use it if you draw it, that's really bad advice. In fact, it's so bad, it could send you to prison. With that being said, let's go see if anybody else has weighed in over here with the bad advice they have gotten. Because remember, I want these videos to be mostly about your all's opinions and experiences. So let me get over here and read this. Edgar Cortez said, worst advice, open carry is bad. That is bad advice. I don't like when people try to demonize open carry. Or say, oh, it's statistically, it's just tactically, it's a disadvantage. I've never seen any real evidence of that. In fact, I'm a firm believer of an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. So I think it can be a deterrent more than anything else. And I just don't like the whole demonizing of carrying a gun. Or trying to make it sound like, well, if you want people to see your gun, but then you obviously got a tiny penis. That has nothing to do with it. It's merely a coincidence. I'm okay with open carry. I like open carry. Danny Pint. Worst advice is constantly being told that appendix inside waistband is the best way to carry. Second is being told that revolvers are better than autos. Oh, that second one is just right. That's good advice. Revolvers are better than autos. But that first one, yeah, that is not the best way to carry in any form or fashion. In fact, it's the most dangerous way to carry, and I'm okay with people carrying that way as long as they're aware of the dangers and they haven't been fed a line of bullshit by a bunch of tacky-tards. But unfortunately, a lot of them think it is the best way, and they don't acknowledge the risks. In fact, they go out of their way to try to dispel the risks, which shows me they're not very educated on how to use their firearm, and they've been led astray by some people in too small a t-shirt, way too many tattoos, you know the type I'm talking about, and are taking a testosterone replacement because they're afraid that people are mistaking them for a woman. Mr. Furley said shot placement is not important. Shot placement is very important. It's one of the most important things. Once you choose a reliable firearm that's capable of doing the job, shot placement's like the next most important thing. So shot placement's very important. Now, is it very important in protecting you, or is it very important in stopping your target? I would say it's more important stopping your target. But if you're firing on someone, I can't imagine a lot of people that ain't going to run away unless they're firing back at you. And then shot placement becomes very important because whoever hits first wins, generally, if your gun is capable. But yeah, shot placement is. I don't know if it would necessarily be that you have to hit somebody every time you shoot, because I know a lot of people that have ran away scared after being shot at. I've ran away scared after being shot at in my life. Trespassing, unintentionally, you get a rifle blast on a tree near you, you take off. You don't hang around. I'm not saying shooting was bad. They might have been trying not to hit us, but you don't think about that when the bullet hits the tree. Ghost Shadow He said, worst is when people say a Glock 10 millimeter is more than enough for an Alaskan grizzly. You know what's best for an Alaskan grizzly? I mean, I'm not going to say a 10 millimeter won't kill an Alaskan grizzly. I've seen grizzlies killed with 45s. There's a place, I think it's in, is it Ketchikan or is it Wrangell, where they have a museum of bears and they actually list all the bear kills, and several of them are by 45 ACP 1911s. So I'm not going to say a 10 millimeter won't do it, but it wouldn't be what I would choose. I mean, I don't want anything short of a 45-70 lever action rifle. At least a mare's leg, if I know I'm going to have to shoot a bear. But what's best for bear is a slow, fat friend. That's what's best. That is the best defense you can take with you. Like if you've got, like when we were in Alaska one time, we had my friend's mother with us. She was older, heavy set, perfect bear defense. Perfect. I didn't really point that out to her too many times, but I was thinking it many times. Trent M says, sent you an email, and that's something to do over there. And if you meant to attach a picture to that, you didn't. So resend it if you meant to, because there's no picture. You told me about something cool, and then you didn't show me a picture. So either you're a gun tease, or you're just forgot to hit put your attachment on there. Iowa Joe says, join the NRA because they protect our gun rights. That is bad advice right there. It's ridiculous on its face. Why would they protect your rights when they profit off your rights being infringed upon? That just don't make sense. That'd be bad business. That'd be like opening a business and saying, you know what? I want to open a tobacco store and my goal is to get everybody to quit smoking. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not a good analogy, but you know what I'm saying. Curious Contrarian says, a friend's CCW instructor advocated for washing Glocks like dishes with dish soap. I've seen instructors and other people tell them, best thing about Glocks, you should just take them apart, put them in the dishwasher. Don't do that. Do not put your Glocks in the dishwasher. The detergents and stuff that are in there are not good to get into the nooks and crannies of your guns. So unless you're field stripping that gun every time and cleaning it out completely, and I'm like taking the firing pin out, etc., don't put your guns in dishwashers, even if they do look like they're made out of Tupperware. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. I would suggest against it. Now, some people out there might be like, I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, we'll do it, but it's not good advice. We got one more coming in here from Paul B, who used his 42-month WAP chat. And that's a good idea too, people. If you got a WAP chat, use it for these things. Hail Phil, bad advice. Carrying a gun invites trouble from others. Yeah, I just don't get that. Especially if they're not armed. Who that isn't armed wants to start trouble with the guy who is armed? That don't make sense to me. It just doesn't. That's like saying, bullies like to pick on the biggest, strongest guy in the room. No, they don't. They like to pick on the weakest guy in the room. They like to pick on the people who look like they're not going to be put up much resistance. So I don't get that. It goes contrary to everything I know about human nature. Just doesn't make sense to me. Wild animals don't go after the biggest, strongest member of the herd. They go after the weak and the sick and the old. And that's makes a lot more sense than what that statement there makes. That seems like that's it for today. That's all the people that have weighed in. I want to thank everybody who did weigh in. As I will say, that was some bad advice people got there. But if you want to weigh in, do so in the comment section of this video. If you want to weigh in on one of these topics in person, come to one of our live chats. We do them every night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Wednesdays when they're at 7 p.m. So come on in, let me hear your opinions, have your voice heard. It's easy to do, and you can stick around. We do a live chat afterwards where you can ask whatever you want, or you can just enjoy conversing with some other pro-gun people on the internet. You might find some things you have in common, and you might find some things you disagree on, which is even more fun to discuss if you ask me. So like I said, thanks everyone for coming. Hope to see you in a live chat soon. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe. Until I see you again.